Hello, everyone, and welcome to Homecoming 2020, delivered virtually this year. Isn't everything delivered virtually this year? This session is sponsored by the Cameron Institute, and we're awfully excited at the University of California about the Cameron Institute. My name is Jack Clark, and I will serve as your moderator for this session. Now, I've been asked to introduce myself, which is not my favorite thing to do. But I'm class of 1978. I was a football player at Cal for the great coach Mike White. I moonlighted on my football scholarship, playing rugby as a second sport, and now I've been the rugby coach at Cal for 37 years. So if you've been doing the math there, it is true. I'm the guy that came to dinner, and you got up in the morning, and I was still in your living room. And then I was there in the 80s, and I was there in the 90s. And then in the 2000s, I was still there in 2010 and 2020. I'm awfully, awfully happy to still be here. And I have the distinct pleasure of introducing a really fantastic panel to you. And let me just start with Walter Chun. Walter enters his 5th season as Cal's director of men's golf. It's his 24th campaign, all in all, with the golf program. And let me walk you through this. So he was elevated to his current role as head coach and director in 2016, after having spent 7 years as Cal's associate head coach. Prior to that, for 5 years, he was Cal Golf's assistant head coach. And then 2 years before that as an administrative assistant, following 5-year playing career with the Golden Bears. And Walter, you're one of those guys that came to dinner and didn't leave as well, aren't you?
I'm right next to you, Jack. I'm right there at dinner.
Well, Walter is a two-time captain of the team, 3 times helped the team to the NCAA West Regionals, and 1 time to the NCAA Championship. He also qualified for the U.S. Amateur twice, 1 time at this little golf course no one's ever heard of called Pebble Beach. Besides his Cal undergraduate degree, Walter also sports a master's degree from the University of California. And I would just say that, I should mention, just, 3-time Pac-10 All-Academic Selection and a 2-time All-America Scholar Athlete. And I would just add on to Walter's bio that there's an old coaching saying, you don't really want to be the coach that follows the legend, right? You want to be the coach that follows the coach that follows the legend. And you can see why that's a pretty good idea. But see, Walter wouldn't have any of that. He had done so much work with the legend, the great Steve Desmond, that when Steve retired, Walter put up his hand and said, I know the bar's high. I know this is risky, but I think I can grab that baton and take the program to new levels. And that's exactly what he's done. Walter, you're an absolute dream. We're happy to have you with us tonight.
Thank you, Jack. That's very kind of you.
Yes, cheers. Chelsea Spencer. Chelsea, that sounds regal. I just realized it. We've been talking on the phone a lot, and I just realized how regal Chelsea Spencer sounds. Chelsea's won an NCAA title as a Cal student athlete. She had an All-American career before embarking on a professional career as well as a coaching career. And she agreed to be our next head softball coach just this recently in May. Hasn't really been on campus much due to the pandemic. But what a pleasure it is to have her back. As a shortstop, Chelsea was part of 4 straight women's college World Series teams, 4 straight. And with the Golden Bears winning the 2002 NCAA championship, that's a big, big deal. And by the way, I was talking to a colleague that I know across the country who happens to be a very experienced softball head coach, and he told me Chelsea Spencer's back at Cal, and I says, yeah, and we're happy to have her. And he goes, let me tell you about Chelsea Spencer.
Oh no.
He said Chelsea was not only the best defensive player of her era. Chelsea is probably the best defensive player in the history of NCAA softball. How's that for a compliment?
Wow.
Pretty good, huh?
Well, thank you to that head coach, and thank you, Jack.
Yeah.
For letting me know that he said that about me.
Yeah. So returning to Cal after spending the past 2 seasons in Austin with Texas, and then 6 seasons with Oregon, where they went from the lower half of the conference to really dominating the conference. And Chelsea and I spent a lot of time on the phone. I'm always picking her brain. She's finally figured out the best way to get me off the phone is to give me what I want, and I take her ideas, I repackage them. They're then my ideas, and I could call that a very good transaction for myself. Welcome, Chelsea.
Thank you.
Burl Toler, Burl Toler the third, right? We got to get that part out there. Who's also in his third season back with the Cal football team as an assistant head coach, as an assistant coach where he coaches the wide receivers after his first year coaching the running backs. Let me see. Burl worked his way back to Cal with assistant jobs at Fresno State and UC Davis. Burl was a 4-year letter winner at wide receiver from 2001 to 2004, and he helped the Bears to a couple bowl games and one bowl game victory. Burl's from the graduating class of 2005. Following his collegiate career, he spent time in the NFL on the rosters of the Oakland Raiders, the Washington football team. He also played some NFL Europe. He played in the Italian Football League, the Canadian Football League, and apparently Burl has been traveling the world, not only showing off his pass catching skills, but also his language skills. I would add to Burl's bio by saying Burl's grandfather, Burl Toler, the original Burl Toler. We should just call him the original, probably.
The OG.
USF Don's 1951 undefeated football team, which was possibly the greatest collegiate football team ever assembled. 9 players go on to the NFL. 3 players from one college football team in 1951 go to the NFL Hall of Fame. Burl's grandfather would have certainly been one of the players off to the NFL, but not for an injured knee. But he went on to play 25 seasons as our first African-American official in the NFL. So there we have it. We have Burl the third, and we have the original. So now you're asking, where's the middle Burl Toler? And that's my old Cal football teammate, Burl Toler Jr. The Tolers among the first family of Bay Area sports, and certainly Cal sports. Burl, you're very welcome here. So straight to it, putting you to work right away. I guess we should start with, what about Cal made you want to come back? What is it that you missed, that you see, that is so important to you that a return to Berkeley was a must? Chelsea, why don't we start with you?
Man, I think when we say we bleed blue and gold, I think it's a drug that we have in our brain or in our blood, and it just pumps through our body that we want to come back and represent our alma mater. There's just so much more investment that we have. And, I worked up my whole coaching career to try to put myself in the best spot to be one of the best candidates out there. And I thought I did a good job because, one, it's my home. I'm from San Leandro, and I want to come back to the Dro, they call it. Come back with my family to see my mom and my dad and my sisters, and I need that childcare bill to not have to pay it. So I need my mom to be able to be there and help me out through life. I love the culture and diversity of Berkeley. And the San Francisco Bay Area. It's huge for me. And I really miss the food. Mezzo. I had an IB hoagie the other day. I just all over my face, and with all that cheese and gypsies. I haven't made it there yet, but I'm so excited to have some pasta from there. I can't wait to get on campus. Haven't been there a lot, but January can't come soon enough.
Ah, that's good. All over your face. I see it. Burl, you had to work your way back, huh? You had to go out and get a couple assistant coaching jobs and then put your hand up to get back on campus. what was the driving force there?
Absolutely. Anytime you could come back home, especially to a special place like this, most people would jump at the opportunity. More specifically, though, it's just the vision that Coach Wilcox has for the program and where the culture is now in coaching. In coaching, we've got to be a little picky in where we go. It has to be the right opportunity. Things have to be set up the right way. So I was fortunate enough to put in a couple years at a few other places, learned a lot, and felt like I prepared myself to come back home. If you look at the chancellor to the AD to the head coach all being in line, that's hard to come by in the university. And I think we've got that going right now. Our program's doing this. So it was welcoming to come back. I had an opportunity to come back with Coach Wilcox, who I've had a relationship with since he's been here. The first time when he coached linebackers, and he was the cool young linebacker coach when I was a player, and now he's the cool young head coach when I'm a coach. But I felt like it was essential for me to go around, experience other places, and then come back here. But it's really because of what's going on right now. We're going to win a lot of football games. We have the right culture. We have the right players, and they're doing the right thing. So it's a pleasure to be back. And the fact that I played here and it's home, and like Chelsea said, I could go to La Burrita or, get some pizza or cheese and stuff, or places that I've been to that I used to go to, Top Dog. That's all fun, but that's just the icing on the cake. I'm here for what we have going and the vision that we have.
That's great, Burl. That's fantastic. And actually a very good point about the alignment of our chancellor and our athletic director, all the way through our teams. And having been here a while, it's like Camelot around here right now to have all that alignment and have all those people kind of all rowing in the same direction. It's pretty fantastic. Now, Walter, you never left, as we pointed out, so we really can't talk about why you want to come back. But what's keeping you here, Walter? What is it?
It's tough to follow Chelsea and Burl. They bring up a lot of great points, but I guess I never left for the same reasons Chelsea and Burl have commented, that you bleed blue and gold. There's a certain level of pride being at your alma mater and doing what you love at the school you represent. And I've been around a while, and it was interesting to me as an assistant coach, seeing you, Jack, seeing my predecessor, Coach Desmond, around for 20 years or so, both of you at that time. And I think Des retired when he was 37, and Jack, you're going 37 years. There's a lot to be said for, Hall of Fame coaches like yourself sticking around their alma mater and giving back. And I think that goes the same for me. Cal's given me a lot of wonderful opportunities. It's given a lot of these viewers amazing opportunities, and to give back to the institution that's given you so much. That's the pride that goes involved for me. Just giving students just the chance to experience what we've all experienced and what we all love. And so for me, I didn't want to leave. Coach Desmond tried to let me go and fire me many times, but I just kept coming back the next morning hoping for a job.
Yeah, that's not true. No one's ever tried to fire you. We're happy to have you, man. So, let's pivot a little bit to what's different now at Cal. Now, compared to when you were here. What are the differences that you see? Burl, what do you see?
I would say since we interact with the players so much, I'll kind of jump on what I see through them. The first thing that jumps out is the instant gratification world, to be honest. There was no transfer portal when I played. People didn't leave for their senior year. Grad transfers were hard to find those. So you just had to battle it out. And, you see it on campus. You see people, not too much here. Once you're here, you're pretty much here. But just overall, keeping up with the times, you see things change really quickly. I was a walk-on here and was able to earn a scholarship my third year. And there's still people that do similar things now. But I think that the game just moves so fast. And there was no Instagram, Facebook was barely coming on. All those things that happen quickly, it changes the culture. It changes what students wear and what they look like and how things are, what we're exposed to. So the list is pretty endless, but the way it impacts the players, I think just understanding how quick you need to be with meetings from a coach's perspective, I feel like we were in there for 3-4 hours for meetings, and now 45 minutes, we're cutting it off. So we have to be precise with what we're explaining and what we're doing and how we're teaching, have a lot of buzzwords and be quick in and out of things, but still find ways to be impactful and make a difference.
Yeah, great. Walter, it's been 20 years, huh? I mean, just about, right? I mean, what's, what do you see that's different compared to when you were a student at Cal?
The easy answers for those are there's new buildings, there's new athletic centers. I think that's the thing that stands out for most for me in terms of what's different. I agree with Burl that there's a sense of instant gratification with students, but also I guess to their strength is that they've still come to Cal for the challenge academically, athletics, socially. There's still a certain level of determination by the student population to be the best at whatever endeavor that they choose to do. So just for me, the difference is that there's newer buildings, there's more technology. I wish there'd be new chairs at Dwinell and Wheeler Hall, but it is what it is.
Well, Chelsea, you haven't seen any new chairs. You haven't been back on campus. I mean, what do you know? What do you anticipate are going to be, these differences?
I snuck into the football stadium and I had to get it in my office one time because I just had to go see it. And I was at Oregon and at Texas, and they had some really good amenities. And when I came back to the football stadium, I was very impressed. The whole outside, when I came back, it was just redone. I think they left just the outer wall. I mean, I haven't been back for 15 years 10 to 15 years. And I was thoroughly impressed with the weight room, all the new stuff inside the football stadium, new offices. I was kind of intrigued where my office was going to be because I thought it'd be up there in Strawberry Canyon in that office way up there, but it's not. And I was pretty happy about that. And I'm just going to go with the amenities and what the student athletes look for nowadays is the show. And I think Cal has that. And I'm very impressed with the facilities and art facility that's going to come up in the next year. I'm excited to break ground there, and I can't wait for that to be up in Strawberry Canyon.
Yeah, I think that's what I see too, is that just the facilities are just so much better. It's the Simpson High Performance Center, one-stop shopping. You go in there, you get a meal, you see your academic advisor, you get your ankles taped, you see the doctor, you strength train, you see your nutritionist. I mean, you'd walk 4 miles in the old days to do all that, and you can do it in one place. And I guess our challenge now is that, we got to remember that, buildings don't win championships. People do. And we just got to keep everybody on task that whatever we got is what we got. And let's go find a way to be successful. Now, there's got to be some things that are still true, though, still true for our student athletes today. And they're as true as when you were a student athlete. Walter, what do you think are the things that just don't change? What are the things that are frozen in time by way of their truth?
The truth that'll stand the test of time is student athletes making the most out of $5 to get the most food that they can out of that $5, whether it's at Gypsy's, La Burrita, Top Dog, whatever that may be. That $5 goes a long way. But in all seriousness, I'd say just the motivation is still there. The pride in wearing the Cal script on a hat, shirt, gym shorts, that pride is always there. But just the motivation and trying to manage your time well. There's just so much going on at you at Cal, and just managing that time, making the most out of quote unquote any free time that you have to study, to practice, to go to RSF, to spend time with friends. Yeah,
being organized, man. That's the one thing that you get disorganized around this place. You feel like you're drinking out of a fire hose, and you don't have a prayer, man. You've got to keep your stuff buttoned up. Chelsea, what do you think? What are the things that you expect to be still true today that were true when you were an athlete, student here?
Well, I think the toughness that us Cal students, athletes, that we embody is still, it has not changed. Academics are backbreaking. Athletics, athletic excellence is a must to perform here, to compete in the Pac-12, and to get up and give it your all every day. With paired with those two, to get up every day and choose to do it again. You've got to be mentally and physically tough for sure, and the toughness that they choose, that they have within them, and they choose to get up that next day, man, it sets you up for a lot of success post college, and to grind it out, especially in those first 5 years of your life after college. You're like, what am I going to do? So, that grind and that toughness to, to perform and to get a job, and to not get a job, to fail at that interview. It really helps the student athletes.
Yeah, it's about that non-cognitive grit, isn't it? Burl, what do you think of those same things, those same truths that student athletes that you're coaching today need that you needed?
I think it's pretty consistent, just like Walter and Chelsea mentioned. A student athlete here at Cal is going to be asked to do a lot. I think what that all points to is that when you leave this place, you will be prepared for anything you encounter. Athletically, you're prepared to be, to play professionally if that's your route. Socially, you're prepared to see things in the world. You're prepared to travel. And then professionally, you're prepared to take on whatever job you want to do. So I think the preparation is something that, my dad, yourself, Coach Clark, and everybody that's come here, can attest to, that we'll be prepared for the real world.
Yeah, that's great. That's exactly right. So let me ask this. I mean, how has being a Cal student athlete, how has this impacted how you coach today? I mean, what are the lessons that you're pulling from your experiences as a student athlete that you're putting into action right now today? And Chelsea, why don't you take this first?
Well, I think Cal has impacted me in so many ways, but Berkeley has really, created a lot of authenticity and individuality in their students and their student athletes. And, me being authentic is really what I've gotten from Coach Neidmeyer and this university, and it's impacted me as a coach. If I'm not authentic to the student athletes, man, they can smell fake right away, right? And so I just got to, be the best leader I can be, that I know how to be the best coach that I know how to be, and grow from those past experiences into the person I am today. And I'll pass down that sense of authenticity to my student athletes, to let them be who they are. I don't want to make a vocal leader from a non-vocal leader. I need them to lead in a way they can lead, and they know how, and put them in the best position that they can be to be authentic to themselves.
That's fantastic. Walter, answer the same question. I mean, how has being an alumnus of this place impacted how you coach today?
I think it gives myself a sense of what my players are going through, the adversity that they have, and having midterms and then traveling to compete the next day, or competing and then taking a midterm the following day. I know what they're going through, even though times have changed. It's still, the core values are still there, and managing your time, being successful in your sport. But I think through my mistakes, even as a student athlete, I can help them. And I'd say one mistake that I made was I didn't utilize the resources that I had as much as I should have. And I believe that the Cameron Institute is sponsoring this, and that's a great resource for our student athletes to work on their professional development, to work on what they want to do post college, whether that's professional sports or being CEO. I think I will definitely advocate hard for my players to utilize the resources like the Athletic Studies Center, the Cameron Institute to just help them get to where they want to be.
Yeah. Yep. Let those entities get them from where they are to where they want to be. That's what we do. We can sum up our coaching role just like that. Burl, how about you? How has being a student athlete here affected and impacted your coaching today?
I've learned a lot from being a student athlete here and now being a coach. The first thing I learned was that coaches work way harder than players. No, I was playing, but not seriously.
It's
but,
so true.
I never knew what the coaches did when I was playing. Now I see. One thing I learned is that how involved the alumni really want to be. If I'm an alumni now, looking back on where I was as a player, and all me and my boys and people talk about is like, man, how are the players doing? They look so deeply into what the guys are doing because they know in retrospect, it's always going to be a place and a time that people are going to appreciate. I try to draw from those experiences and explain things to my guys. I never say, do it like how I did it or win this many games because we did it the same way. But I think it's always valuable to be able to draw from real life experiences anytime you're explaining something. So, when guys know that, we went from 1-10 my freshman year to 10-1 before the bowl game my senior year, it's not necessarily how we did it, but it's that it can be done. And I think as a coach, you try to draw as many real life experiences that you can in coaching guys. So, and one more thing that I really learned from being a player is something that stood out was when coaches really listened to me, not necessarily listen when they said, when I said I wanted to go in the game or get the ball or anything like that, but listen in a sense of they knew who I was off the field. They knew what I was all about. They knew how to coach me. They knew whether they could cuss me out or, they knew how to get me to play to my best ability. So that's one thing I use in coaching now. And I think it's important. You really want different people in your room. I have 18 receivers in the room right now, and they're all completely different. But I think there's ways to get them to come to play together and still have that healthy competition. And everybody learns differently. So I use a lot of those experiences that I had as a player to touch guys in different ways.
That's fantastic. Really, really insightful. We're rounding the bend. We're heading home. Maybe let's speak directly to the Cal students with this question and answer. I mean, what is the one parting bit of advice that you would give current Cal students? And Walter, why don't you take this?
Ooh, man. I don't know if there's enough time in this broadcast to
You get one.
Okay. I got it. I'd say when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Everyone's gonna face some sort of trial, some sort of adversity at Cal, and rather than shy away from that, use that as an opportunity to really get after it and challenge yourself to prevail, to come out on top of whatever trial you're going through.
That's fantastic. Chelsea, parting advice. Here we go.
I think I'm with you, Walter. I could take this for a while, but being able to live one day at a time, taking it all in, and being present and making yourself in the moment is really hard when you're 18 to 22. And I think it's still hard for me as a 37-year-old, but yes. But I have one more. I have to say, Walter, I agree with you. Taking advantage of the resources that is given to you is huge. I didn't do enough of that, and especially with the Cameron Institute. Oh man, it's a great thing that we have here on campus, and I'm excited to really get into it.
That's great. Burl, one bit of parting advice, and you're talking directly to Cal students.
To all the young bucks out there, just enjoy it right now. Focus on the moment. Sometimes we get ahead of ourselves and we want the ultimate master plan of what we're going to be doing 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years down the road. Just focus on right now, especially in today's day and age. You being at Cal is enough preparation that you need to be successful in life. So enjoy it. It's going to be tough, but know that you'll be 100% prepared for whatever you encounter down the road.
That's great. And for all three of you, thank you so much for all of your insights. Really fantastic session. Ladies and gentlemen, thank everyone out there in Zoom land for listening. Thank you to the Cameron Institute for sponsoring this event. Please check out all the other homecoming events. And of course, go Bears.
Go Bears.
Go Bears.
Go Bears.